Hey, you guys, settle in and enjoy the latest from Skip to Saturday. Hello. Guess what? I'm gonna take you guys to Cabo. Just kidding, I'm not. I am gonna revisit my trip to Cabo. It was one of the best trips of my life, and I'll tell you guys why. It was such a short one. We were there for a day and a half, and it was a spontaneous trip. My brother-in-law decided that he wanted to do like a weekend getaway to Cabo. So we were leaving on a Friday and we would come back on a Sunday. And I was asked to join them. And I was like, sure, why not? I've never been to Cabo. They have. So we had about 2 weeks from the time when I was asked to when we were leaving to plan, to buy clothes, and do whatever I needed to do for the trip. I am the type of person that likes to make the most out of my time when I'm going somewhere. So I wanted to see what I could do while I was out there. And my sister had done the horseback riding on the beach and the sunset cruise tour or sunset tour. So she had done both of them the last time they went. And so I had a good idea of what I could do, but I also wanted to do my own research. And I'm doing research on the activities that are there. I come across a Clearwater boat tour, a baby sea turtle release, and a camel ride on the beach. And I was like, okay, hold up. What is going on here? Because these all sound really amazing. With the Clearwater boat tour, the difference between that and the Sunset Cruise tour is that this boat is made out of glass, and it's clear, so you see everything underneath you, and you also get to see the same sights you would see on the Sunset Cruise tour. But with the Clearwater boat tour, they don't have the option to see the sunset, so they turned back before that time. I was like, okay, do I want to do the Clearwater boat tour? Because that looks pretty cool. Like where else am I going to be able to do this? I could do a sunset tour somewhere else. And then do I want to miss out on seeing a beautiful sunset? Because I saw my sister's pictures and it looked amazing. I put a pin on that. I was like, I want to do one of those things, right? Because we were only there for a day and a half, I only had the option to do one. Because if I was there for 2 days at least, I could have done both to have that experience. So I was like, okay, I will figure that out later. Then I looked at the camel ride on the beach, and that looked cool. But the thing about that was, one, you had to pay for the activity, right? Obviously. But then you also had to pay to get into the safari. And then you had to pay for your pictures. They were not allowing you to take your own pictures. I was like, what is the point of that? Because I do not want someone else taking my pictures for me. And we all know how it goes with, strangers taking pictures for you. Sometimes your eyes are closed in one picture, and another picture, everyone looks amazing, but you don't, or you look like you're in mid sneeze, or your head's cut off. So I'm like, I would be rolling the dice on the picture part of this experience because I don't think they would take nice pictures of me. So I decided that the safe bet would be the horseback ride on the beach, and I could do the camel ride somewhere else or at a different time if I were ever to go back to Cabo. So I had solidified on doing the horseback ride on the beach. And then the baby sea turtle release was like something that I was really excited for. I looked into it, and the activity was basically 4 hours long, and you would release these baby sea turtles into the ocean around sunset. And I was like, I want to do this. Like, this sounds amazing. And where else am I going to be able to do this? So I booked it. And then as I was reading the reviews, some people said that they had to give their children the circle of life speech because when they released the baby sea turtles, they had to release them far away from the ocean. So they had to make their journey to the ocean. Like, you couldn't just go to the water and just throw them in there. And as this baby sea turtles were making their way into the ocean, the seagulls were picking them up. They were snatching them off from the beach. And they said it was really horrific for the kids. I was not expecting that. So I had to weigh it out. I was like, do I really want to witness murder? But at the same time, it is a circle of life. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And then a few days before our flight, I get a message from the organizer saying that basically I had to cancel the trip because they had no hatchlings due to the weather. And I was really bummed out for that. I was like, damn it, I can't do that now because that got me really excited. Then the day of our flight, we're not even sure if we're going to make it on time to the airport because my brother-in-law is running late. And the entire ride to the airport My anxiety is just like sitting at my throat because I'm really looking forward to this trip. And now there's a chance that we won't even make it. And then we finally get there, right? We get there, we check in our bags, we go through security, and then I'm at the gate with my nephew. He's 1 year old. I'm at the gate with him, and my sister and my brother-in-law are still going through security. And I have to really go to the bathroom at this point. I just could not hold it in anymore. But I didn't want to take him with me to the bathroom because I know how hectic it can be sometimes. So I had to wait for my sister or my brother-in-law to show up, one of them. And my sister shows up, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to quickly go to the bathroom and I'll be right back. At that point, they had already started boarding. So I knew I had to quickly do my business and get back there. And when I get to the restrooms, there's a line going out the door. And I was like, oh my God, just my luck. So I'm waiting. And then I finally get a stall, do my business. I had to go pee. I didn't go poo. And I wash my hands. When I get out of the bathroom, there are missed calls from my brother-in-law and my sister. And I read her messages, and she's like, they're waiting for you. Everyone's in the plane already. So everyone had already boarded, and I was the last one on the plane. It was so embarrassing when I got on the plane because everyone was just staring at me. I was like, oh my God, this is great. So that was an experience. And then when we get to Cabo, it felt like we landed in the devil's butt crack because it was that hot. It was like in the high 90s. When we were waiting for our driver to come pick us up, I remember my back was just drenched in sweat. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Because I did not plan on staying indoors the entire time there because I was planning on, being out. And I was like, this is going to be like really hard to do. So he picks us up and we get to our resort, and it's a beautiful resort. You see the ocean from where you are. You can hear the waves from where you are. And mind you, the walk to the beach from the resort is 10 minutes. After we're all checked in, we go upstairs to our apartment. When I say apartment, it's literally an apartment. It was 4 bedrooms. Every bedroom had its own bathroom, and 3 of the 4 bedrooms had their own balconies. So that was pretty cool because you could just sit outside, look at the beach, watch the sunrise or the sunset, listen to the sound of the waves, So that was really nice. And this apartment had a full-on kitchen, a dining table, living room, a theater room, a laundry room. So it had everything. And then that day, I planned on doing nothing because I was like, you know what? I just want to relax, and I will do the horseback riding on Saturday. And I still hadn't decided whether or not I wanted to do the Clearwater boat tour or the sunset cruise. Friday, it was supposed to be all chill. And then we had lunch at the resort. There were like a few restaurants there. And then me and my sister decided to take a stroll to the beach. So when we get to the beach, there is this guy there standing there with 3 horses. And I was like, do you think that he's giving horseback rides on the beach? And she's like, we should ask. So we go over to him and I ask him, can we do the tour? And he was like, yeah, you can do it. It's 30 minutes and it's $40. I was like, okay. So I ended up doing it. My sister didn't because she had already done it the last time. So she just chilled out and sat on the beach chairs. I got on my horse. His name was Lemon, and there was 3 of them, right? So the tour guide was on one, I was on the other one, and then there was the extra one. Nobody was sitting on that one. We start heading down the beach, and then I think like about 5 minutes in, this guy that he knows approaches him, and then they have an exchange. It was a friendly one. And then he takes that extra horse. I think we were like 5 minutes in to the ride, and my tour guide was like, okay, we're gonna head over to the shore. So we go in that direction, and my horse Lemon starts to act really weird, and he's not listening to my directions. So, I'm pulling him to the right so he can be away from the water, but he's not listening. And as we're approaching the water, instead of like walking alongside of it, he is trying to enter it. I was like, what the hell is going on here? And fear kicked in. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die because he's not stopping. He's literally heading for the ocean. And my tour guide is not doing anything. He thinks that this is normal. I mean, like, this is his horse, so he knows what is normal and what is not. But for me, I am like panicking. Why is this horse going in the ocean? And then I tell him, I was like, he's not listening. Can you please help me? And then he finally comes over and takes the reins from me. And I asked him, I was like, what happened? Like, why is he acting like this? Because at the beginning of this tour, he was perfectly fine. He's like, oh, I gave his best friend to the guy And that's why he's upset. I was like, oh my God. I had no idea how attached he was to that horse. That was horrifying for me. Like, I really thought I was going to die. So he takes the reins and he's in control of everything now. So I'm just chilling. I'm taking pictures, taking videos, and then as we're walking on the beach, there's a whole there's all these resorts there. So it's just not our resort. There's like a whole bunch of them, and then I'm looking at them, just like thinking, wow, that was really pretty. That one's really pretty. And then I see this like area that is fenced off. There's this huge banner on the fence. I can't understand what it says because it's written in Spanish, but I should know what it says because I took Spanish for 2 years. But I recognize the image of the sea turtle. I was like, okay, in my head, I'm thinking, what is going on over here? I see a few people in that enclosure digging. So I'm putting pieces together. I'm thinking they're digging for baby sea turtles. My mind jumps to that conclusion. To verify my hypothesis, I asked the tour guide, I was like, do you know what's going on over there? He was like, yeah, they dig for the baby sea turtles and then they release it at sunset in the ocean. I was like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, they do it every single day. And I'm like, oh my God. I was told that there were no hatchlings. So me being curious, and I really want to see these baby sea turtles, I asked if you could go in that direction. He's like, yeah, that's fine. So we head in that direction and they're doing exactly what I thought they were doing. They had a whole bunch of baby sea turtles in a bucket and they were getting ready to release them in the evening. But they didn't know where they were going to release them because every single day it's at a different location. I was like, wow, I didn't get to do the actual activity, but I got to see the baby sea turtles and they were so freaking cute. And then that evening, we went to dinner. It was me, my sister, my brother-in-law, and my nephew. So we had a really nice dinner together. And then the next morning, because I had already done the horseback ride on the beach, it was really relaxed. So I had lunch with myself. And then my sister joined me for a little bit. And then we took a little stroll around the resort. We took some pictures and got some drinks. And then the time came to figure out, what do I want to do? Did I want to do the sunset tour or the Clearwater boat tour? And I have never been so indecisive in my entire life about anything. Usually I'll make a decision, I'll stick to it, and I don't regret it, and I know what I want to do. But with this, I was like, oh, I don't know. This is going to sound dramatic, but this is exactly what I did. I flipped a coin. I said a little prayer. I was like, God, please allow me to have the best experience of my life, whether it's on the Clearwater boat tour or the sunset cruise. And when I flipped the coin, it landed on the sunset side. So I was like, there you have it. So we're gonna do the sunset tour. And it was just me and my sister because they did not allow kids under the age of 3 to be on the boat. My nephew's only 1, so my brother-in-law stayed back with my nephew and they did their own thing while me and my sister went on the cruise. As we were on our way to the location where the boat's gonna sail off from, it starts to sprinkle and the sky becomes really gloomy. And I'm like, oh my God, are we not gonna see the sunset today? Because like that was the whole purpose of this activity. And I started to feel a little bummed out because I'm just like, oh man, it's gonna feel like a waste. But at the same time, I'm just thinking like, you know what? You know, you don't get to do this often, so just enjoy whatever you can. And then when we get on the boat, we see the arch. That's like the famous landmark in Cabo. And we see Lover's Beach. And then there's also a divorce beach there, but it's on the opposite side. Then they point out some of the celebrities' homes, and we get some pictures taken with the professional photographer. We had one on the boat as well. And then we are just sitting on the boat doing nothing. And then when the time comes for sunset, I'm thinking like it's not going to happen. And out of nowhere, you see the sunset, and the sky is filled with so many beautiful hues of red and pink. It's so bright and it looks like a painting. Like it was so majestic. I was like, oh my goodness, this is so beautiful. So I felt like I really got my money's worth and I got my experience that I was looking forward to. Because like I said, originally I didn't think the sunset was going to happen due to the weather. And then after the sun had set, we head back and it's pretty dark at that point. Our boat just stops and the music turns on and everybody just like sitting and chilling. Me and my sister are like, why aren't we heading back to the docks? Because like, what is the point of just sitting in the dark? You can't see anything. You could see the lights from afar, but like it was a little scary to be in the middle of the ocean. You don't know what's lurking under the waters. And my mind was like racing and creating different scenarios. My imagination is wild. So at one point I was thinking about a whale coming underneath us and tipping our boat over. And then there was another scenario where I thought there could have been a shark around us, and like what would we do if we saw the fin, and just like swimming around, circling the boat. I was like, okay, you know what? You need to stop with this ridiculousness and just think positive thoughts. So we were there for an hour, and then we finally went back to the dogs. I got some of the professional pictures that were taken on the boat just for keepsake. And then we went home. We were supposed to grab dinner, like all of us together, but my nephew had fallen asleep and they also had eaten, so that was fine. So it was just me and my sister who were hungry. We grabbed food from the restaurant at the resort because it was 9:30 and we weren't gonna, go out and look for a new restaurant to try. So didn't even dine in, and we went back upstairs to our apartment and ate at the dining table. So we made use of the dining table. And then the next day I slept in, but my sister and her family went out to the beach and they just had a little fun out there with their son. And then we grabbed some lunch when they got back, and then it was time to go back home. And then on the ride to the airport, it started to sprinkle. It was gloomy again. The plane ride was scary because there was so much turbulence due to the weather. The lady next to me, she said a little prayer, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness, like, what if this plane crashes into the water? We're all gonna die. Or if we don't, and we manage to survive, like, how am I gonna rescue my sister, my brother-in-law, and my nephew? Because they all don't know how to swim. I do somewhat. So I'm thinking about all these crazy thoughts, and I'm just hoping that we make it back to SFO in one piece. Thankfully, we landed an SFO all in one piece, and then that was the end of our trip. The reason why this trip was really memorable and amazing for me was because I was really present. Like, I got to be present there. I took a stroll on the beach and I just enjoyed the sound of the waves. And I wasn't thinking about, okay, I need to do this or I need to do that. Usually, when I am on these vacations, they are jam packed with the stuff to do every single day. So I'm always on the go. Like, I'm out in the morning and then I come back in the evening. So it's just like, yeah, it's really hectic. And this trip, it wasn't like that. I also wasn't posting on social media about my trip when I was there. I saved that all for later. I felt like I spent a lot of time away from my phone as well. And what I learned on this trip is that disconnecting is a luxury because we do not get to do that. We don't get to like just be because there's always something on our minds. So I got to do that at Cabo, and I got to experience that because if someone were to say like you really need to disconnect and be present, I wouldn't know what that feels or looks like. I'm very grateful for that experience. It might not sound like a big deal to you guys, but for me it was, and it's something that I need to implement in my life. But it's just really hard to do because when you are in your hometown, doing your thing every single day, and even when you try to relax, like I will still find something to do. So I need to work on that. If you guys were to ever go to Cabo, I would definitely recommend doing the horseback riding on the beach. Even though I had a not so good experience, I would still recommend that because my sister did it and she had a good experience. So maybe do it with a group of people instead of doing like a private tour, or maybe not have an extra horse that's going to be given away like at the beginning of your tour, and then do the sunset cruise. That was really nice. I really enjoyed that. I can't recommend doing the baby sea turtle release because I didn't get to do it, but I still think that's something that would be an amazing experience. So if you get to do it, please let me know how that goes because if I ever go back to Cabo, I definitely want to plan that in my trip. Before I wrap up this episode, I want to share a funny travel story with you guys. It's not mine, it's someone else's. Thank God this happened before camera phones. My friends love this story. They find it funny. Me, well, it's still embarrassing. It was about 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning in June 2001. I was on the east coast of Honduras waiting for a bus. My empty stomach grumbled at me. I was staring down a 5-hour bus ride on an empty stomach. Searching the bus stop for food revealed a mobile pizza stand. I had to make a call. It was either last night's dried out pizza or an empty stomach. I settled on the delusion that it would be fine. Surely, I was already constantly sick by now. I must have built up some resistance. And anyway, how much worse could it get? An hour into the bus ride, the pizza started to hint at its bacteria content. A few burps here and there, as the bus steadily filled up. 3 rows from the back of the bus, I was smiling at the adventure of it all. I was feeling proud of my adventure self, and Aussies squished in, surrounded by the local Hondurans and their livestock as this old yellow bus bounced along. 3 of us sharing a seat designed for 2 children. My proud smile was misplaced. I'm not sure how long this next part went on for. I do remember the slow rising dread as my few burps became an internal fireworks show. My poor anus, weak from weeks of Central American food, was doing its best job to keep the show on the inside. I needed to poo. I can still remember going from pondering whether the bus would soon stop for a comfort break to desperately trying to decipher road signs for clues on where I was. Maybe I could just get off. I really needed to poo. By the minute, I was deteriorating. Minutes felt like hours. I would just get off the next stop, no matter what. Fireworks became a knife fight as severe pain laced my entire digestive system. I was holding on, but by now I knew it was just a matter of time. Oh, I really needed to poo. A bump in the road was the final straw. I was about to poo. Instinct took over. I only knew a bit of Spanish, but I knew toilet. Baño, I called as I desperately tried to get out of my seat. Baño, baño, I called in desperation, pushing past the back third of the bus, one hand on my backside, another searching for a gap between people. Baño, 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 I called as I saw the driver looking in his big revision mirror as he pulled the bus over. I leapt down the stairs as the doors swung open. 3 steps, maybe 4, pants being pulled down with every step. Barely making it to a squat, my bowels heaved and I shat that pizza out. I then balanced there trying to keep my poo off my undies and shoes as my bowels dry retched. For that 1 minute, I didn't even think of the 100 Hondurans and 10 chickens watching my little white arse and my hairy scrotum from the bus. It was the greatest relief. Relief was spoiled by the reality of no toilet paper. With barely a shred of dignity left, I ripped my undies off and wiped my tortured anus. Without looking up, I climbed back on the bus. The sea of Hondurans parted and I had a seat to myself the rest of the many-hour bus ride. I hope to God that never happens to any of you guys. That sounds mortifying. That's it for today's episode. I hope you guys really enjoyed that. If you guys have any questions about my trip to Cabo or if you want me to elaborate on something, don't hesitate to ask. For now, take care of yourself. Have a beautiful day or evening, depending on where you are in the world. And I'll see you guys next week.